follow YouTube. After I bought this E&L AKM Airsoft gun, I wanted to do a few upgrades on it because there are some things or some problems with it that I really can't stand. For example, you can't screw on the muzzle brake completely onto the barrel. There's a small gap here, or a rather large gap that I want to remove, and I have already an idea how to do it. And I also ordered this complete barrel assembly and an original rear side block, and I wanted to try to press this rear side on, but first I would have to remove the gas tube and the front side block, and I need a press for this, so press is rather expensive at the time, and I won't spend the money on this, so this project has to wait. But I can switch out this barrel assembly, and I already noticed something. Look at this ramp here, how crooked and fucked this ramp is. And also take a look at the finish. Other side. It has a really crooked ramp, and the finish of it is really crude, especially on this side here. You can see mold marks, and on this assembly here, on this rear side block, the ramp is completely straight. It looks a lot better, and the finish is also a lot better on both sides, not as crude. So I will replace this barrel assembly here with this one. Then I can let this project here wait a little longer. And I also bought an original Izhmash stock set with laminated wood. This one looks really nice, almost new. It also has proof stamp on the stock. This needs to be heavily modified. There's still cosmolin on this part, so this will be looking really good. Also the upper handguard, also laminated wood. There are a few differences in dimensions, in length and width, so I have to modify all these parts. This part is actually, the lower handguard is actually a little bit shorter than the original one, and I will have to modify this part here because this is too big. And the bakelite grip I can't use, obviously, because it's way too small to fit the electric motor in. It's a lot thinner and overall smaller than the E&L plastic one, but this would look awesome if I could modify it so this would fit the electric motor, but no way this is gonna happen. So maybe I show you the whole process, or only a part of it, because this is a rather tedious job to modify all these parts. So I hope you will enjoy this video, and you will like the outcome of this. So let's start to disassemble the AKM as far as necessary to make all these modifications. And after field stripping, take out the lower and the upper stock bolts. To get the buttstock out of the receiver, you have to tap it out with some kind of a wedge. Either use a plastic or preferably a wooden wedge. And you have to tap it carefully at more like a 90-degree angle than a steeper angle, because when you use a steeper angle, it can be possible that you chip the wood, so be careful with that. And it's off. To remove the outer barrel, you have to unscrew 2 grub screws from the rear side block and the 2 screws at the very end of the outer barrel, these 2 black ones. These are 2 mm and I think these are 2.5 or 3 mm. So, and if you want to remove the inner barrel and the hop-up unit, you have to unscrew this screw, but I won't do this right now. This is enough for me at the moment. So this is how it looks now, without any modifications done. I have to weld the groove in the barrel shut and make a new one 2 mm further down the barrel in order to get rid of this gap here between the lower handguard and the retainer plate. And I also have to increase the length of these 2 flat spots on the barrel 2 millimeters, so I can slide this retainer plate also further back. I'm using just very simple tools, a few files and a caliper. I'll measure 2 millimeters out now. I have a little mark here, and then I will just file it down, make a new groove with this round file, for example, and then this lower handguard should fit without any gaps at all. This is how it looks now. I've removed the excess material and cut the grooves, the flat spots further down, like 2 millimeters. So I'm now beginning to file the groove, and I've measured exactly 2 millimeters from the previous point, and this should fit, hopefully. You only have one try. So this is now how it looks. And it's bulletproof tight. There's no wiggle at all, just as it should be. So now I have to glue the bare metal, and this part of the mod is finished. And I have an original lower Ishevsk or Izhmash handguard for the AKM, without any gaps or play. I'm happy with the result, and you can, if you want, glue this barrel again. There are tons of different bluing solutions or bluing liquids you can buy, cold bluing liquids, and I've got this one here, and you just take a Q-tip, dip it in this liquid and apply it on those bare metal areas, and they should turn black again. Just like this. And after a few minutes you can apply a little bit of WD-40 or any other oil-based product to prevent rusting, and it's completely finished. This is a product from Motorex, but it's just like WD-40. And just apply it everywhere where you glued the metal, and this is now the end result. That's completely fine with me, looks good, And when you install the retainer plate, you won't see anything that was done by me. And why did I have to do all of this? Because the Izhmash/Ishevsk lower handguard is considerably shorter than the OEM E&L lower handguard, as you can see. Just the 2 millimeters I've measured out that were, or that are missing on the original Russian wooden handguard. I had to modify the inner part of this handguard also, and this piece that goes into the receiver in the width and height, and I've used some wooden paint to darken the wood again, but I will show you this later on. I have modified an original AK gas tube to fit the Airsoft AKM, and I got it pretty tight on. I also tried to align the lower retainer with this holding piece for the upper handguard, and it looks quite good. There's absolutely no play in it, and also this disassembly lever is very tight, so there shouldn't be any wiggle in it at all, like in an original AK. I've modified the back part to make the airsoft gun fit, and this looks also very nice. I will glue this part now, just as I did with the barrel, and then this is also finished. I've also modified the upper wooden handguard for this, and this fits also really perfectly without any play. On this airsoft part here, you can see there's also this cut here. I don't know why they did this. Maybe because of legal reasons, because they also drilled 2 holes in the barrel, one on the top and one at the bottom. But with this part I'm not really sure, because this does nothing and you can buy these parts online pretty easily. But what I want to show you is that I can rotate this piece very easily by hand and get this out of this gas tube here. And I have modified my upper handguard in a way that you can't really get this one off without clamping the tube in a vise. So this is also very tight. I've tried to make all parts to have a really close fit to each other, so they are really strong together and won't fall apart when you look at the airsoft gun. This is my modified original AK gas tube, and this is the E&L gas tube, and I'm happy with my modification I've done to the original one. And as I've shown you, this one here fits perfectly. Original upper handguard and original clamp, and my original modified gas tube. Fits perfectly. This is how the buttstock looks now. It's almost finished. I had to remove quite a lot of wood at the bottom to make the buttstock fit the receiver, but this will look perfectly now, as if the stock was specially designed for this receiver. And I've also put a little bit of putty inside this hole. I drilled the hole a little bit bigger on purpose, so I can align the holes and remove the stock again easily to drill them. So this worked quite well. I still need to drill the bottom hole, but this is not a lot of work anymore, and then this will be finished. So now the stock is installed, and the upper and lower handguard. Now I just want to give you a few information about the rear side block of the E&L Airsoft. On the Airsoft version they have the wrong rear side block installed, because this is a 800 meter rear side block instead of the 1000 meter rear side block, which should be on here. The secondary ramp on the 1000 meter rear side block is a lot shorter than this one. This here is an original East German rear side block with an 800 meter blade, and you can see that the 800 meter rear side blade is a lot shorter than 1000 meter rear side blade, and you can see that the style of the ramp is exactly the same type. And I don't know why E&L put a wrong rear side block on the airsoft gun with a 1000 meter blade. And on the AKs, or they engineered the rear side block in a way that you have one combat setting or constant setting. On 7.62 guns, the constant setting is the same is the same as the 300 meter setting, and on the 545 guns, this constant setting is the same as the 400 meter setting. And as you can see, when I move this adjuster to the 100 meter setting, the rear side blade goes down. It's still not on the same height as on this secondary ramp here, and on this 300 meter setting it's the same height as on the combat or constant setting. And on the E&L version, the settings are all fucked up and you can't really use it. But okay. The question is, do you need it really for an airsoft gun? But for authenticity, it would be good if there would be a real or the appropriate rear side block installed instead of this 800 meter one. And I also want to show you how to remove the blade, the rear side blade, and this spring here. You take a screwdriver and there's a little groove or notch running down the blade, and you just push with the screwdriver in this notch onto the spring, and the rear side will immediately pop out on itself. And after that you can install it. I have put a new barrel with rear side block on my AKM because you can see that this ramp is crooked and not straight like it should be. All things should be straight. No, joking. And therefore I wanted to switch out the rear side block, but I figured that it would be easier to just buy a new barrel because I don't have a press, and I think that those parts, the rear side block, the gas block and the front side block, are pressed onto the barrel and pinned, and I don't want to mess with it, so it was easier but more expensive to just buy just whole new barrel assembly with all those parts attached. And the AK is now finished. I have tried to make the upper handguard align with the lower handguard at the front. This looks much better than the E&L stuff that was on there. This now creates one line here, which looks better. It's even more sturdier, bulletproof than it was before. I installed an original sling for it. There are no big gaps anywhere, as it should be. I fucked up on one part, and that's the stock, but I could improve it, but I won't do it. There's a millimeter gap here, which I dislike, but I won't pull it off and correct it. I will just leave it as it is because it still looks good. And you can even fit an original Izhmash bayonet to the gun. This is even numbers matching, 961 and 961.
961, 961. And it's on. And this is how it looks now.